Well, let me tell you something, brother.
Snort, snort, snort.
Kogan. Drip.
Snort, snort.
I got the drip. Go. All right. So, next topic, ladies and gentlemen, there is a documentary about me being made. And the reason why I'm talking about this one, and the reason why people are talking about this one in particular, is because, number one, it is going to be the longest documentary ever made on me, and likely one of the longest documentaries ever made on anyone on YouTube, except for, I think, Chris Chan, who has like a 700-hour documentary on him or something like that. It's going to be made by someone who I have watched and reacted to their content before and have a friendly relationship with. Okay? By the name of Joon the King. All right? For those who don't know, that's who I'm talking about. He's done documentaries on a lot of different people over the years. Tons. And like I said, I've watched some of these documentaries, reacted to them, and I like his work quite a lot. Okay? So everyone knows that he's been making this documentary because he's been talking about it for months, that he's researching, he's working on it. For the record, yes, I have spoken with him about the documentary several times because sometimes he would be researching something or he'd be trying to get clarity on something and there just isn't enough information out there, or maybe the information is unclear. So he would ask me and I would try to give him my take or my side of the story or some guidance on where to get information about something. But basically, to be honest here, I just don't think when it comes to me that there's just a lot of archived positive information about darksydephil outside of the raw content you can find on my channels. And here's what I mean by that, okay? First of all, I have been a YouTuber for 16 years, much longer than most other people, all right, who are still doing it today, that is. And I also was a prominent part of the fighting game community for a very long time, all right? But a lot of the stuff from those time periods isn't really like archived. I'll give you some perspective here. During my early fighting game days, I was a troll, and everyone knew it. Like on big internet forums and stuff, I was a big negative asshole, and I fessed up to that, and I've told everyone how much I regret that. From back in that time, because now I look back and I'm like, wow, that was pretty stupid, and you know, I probably really offended and hurt people back then just to be an asshole, and there was really no reason for it, and I regret it. But I mean, that's what happens when you get older and you get more mature. You look back at your past and you're embarrassed at the dumb shit that you've done, right? So that, you know, you'll find documentation of that. You'll find people complaining that darksydephil is an asshole and all this shit, right? But what you won't find are the stories of people who actually met me in real life at tournaments and were like, wow, you're actually not an asshole. You're actually a nice guy. You're an honorable, nice guy to get along with and joke with and play games with in person. Online, you have this heel persona of being a dick. But in person, everyone who met me kind of liked me. They're like, wow, I don't understand. Why are you such an asshole online? I say, because I'm trying to build up hype for these events. You have to understand, like, that's the point. Right? Get everyone excited. Get everyone shit talking. Get everyone pumped so they'll show up. It doesn't have to all be so fucking serious. But man, people hated me back then for good reason. That's what I'm trying to say. There's a justifiable reason why people didn't like me back in the days of the FGC. Now, I had this kind of like turnaround around 2005, 2006, and 2007 where I actually got really good at Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo. And as I started to get good and actually place and win at tournaments, I realized I don't want to be an internet troll anymore. I want to turn this into something positive. So not only was I traveling all over the country, playing this game at a high level, placing and or winning at most tournaments that I entered, I also became a tournament organizer. I started running established tournament events in that northeastern United States area, Connecticut, New York, New Jersey. I was always the guy who showed up and ran the event or helped the person who was running the event do part of the event. I didn't take any pay for any of that. I never made a dollar doing it. It was all volunteer work to help out the Street Fighter community. So in the Northeast, I was very well regarded at that time period. But then I retired, essentially. Around 2007, I got a back injury, and I retired, and I basically never got back to competitive Street Fighter ever again. So if you were to look on the internet for information about me from the Street Fighter community, all you're going to find is negative shit. Why? because people only post the negative. You know, the people who liked me and met me in person and enjoyed the tournaments I ran didn't then go up and post a 5-page thing about how much of a good time they had. Instead, they would only rant about and rage about the things they hate. Wow, this guy's a dick. This guy's an asshole. This happened at the tournament. I didn't like it. That's what you find on the internet archive. Back then, there was no recordings. There was no YouTube, no Twitch. Nothing was streamed or archived whatsoever. It was all hearsay or what you saw in a forum post or in an IRC chat. That was the Street Fighter community back in the day, honestly. So that's it. So if you're, just think about this. If you're researching me and you want to find out about my true history and you search on the internet, all you're going to find is negative shit. That's it. That's all that's there. And the funny part about it is I don't really care. Like, that part of my life is such ancient history. I'm never going back to being part of the FGC. I've said this many times. I just have no desire to do that with my life. I'm happy where I am right now. And I don't actively try to do negative things anymore like that. Like, I'm so separated, right, from all of that shit that I have no desire to ever be involved with it ever again. Okay? And that's a good thing. I moved on with my life many, many years. But the thing is, when you have a documentary like this trying to dig up information, now what they're going to do is look, oh, look, everything I ever found on the internet about Phil is negative. Well, yeah, because that's what people fucking complain about on the internet, the negative shit. That's what gets emphasized. That's what gets pushed to the forefront. The toxic rises to the top because people like drama, right? And man, was I all about the drama in the Street Fighter community. I really was. Like, I was creating and propagating the drama to try to strum up interest for events. So essentially, that's what you're going to find likely in this documentary. You know, I said, well, what about the positive people? They're not play Street Fighter anymore. The people who I used to hang out with in Connecticut, I have no contact with. They moved on. They have lives with families. They have no desire to be involved in a documentary about me. They haven't played Street Fighter in over 10 years, 15 years. You know what I'm saying? I don't have contact with them. No one does, because they're done with that. You know, the people who stick around, you know, the long-time people like a Justin Wong or whatever don't really know me. Justin doesn't know me. We never hung out. We were never friendly. He was from New York and was a top player who traveled with a group called Empire Arcadia that my group hated because we felt that this was like a corrupt and a real messed up group. So there's no one around to talk about that era. There was no one documenting it, literally. There's a few things you can find. Like I said, you can find some matches of me that are archived of me winning Evo tournaments. That does exist on the internet. But that's what I mean. So here's another example. All right? Old controversies and things that are so outdated that no one cares anymore. But for a documentary like this, they're going to be drummed up, right? So, for example, very long ago, we're talking the very beginning of my presence being a YouTuber. There were two guys, teenagers, who basically offered to build me a website as a fan site for free that they would operate so that my fans had a place to post up stuff. They also offered at one point to build me a PC. I would pay them for it, but they would build me a PC, and I guess it would somehow benefit them with some kind of, I don't know if it was a work project or a school project. I don't even know what it was. But basically, this blew up into a giant controversy. Why? Because basically the PC showed up and had issues. It wasn't fully functional like they had promised. I felt like I didn't get out of it like what I had paid for. A lemon, essentially. It had damage, physical damage to it when it showed up, okay? And in addition to that, as I basically talked about this stuff publicly, trolls emerged. This is around the time where stuff like "this is how you don't play" was starting to come out. So trolls realized that they could wedge themselves into the situation to try to exacerbate it and create drama because this is what they wanted to do. They wanted to make toxic drama on the internet. So they basically started like really getting between me and them and trying to create stuff that really shouldn't have happened. And eventually what happened was just real bad blood. And eventually they started making, well, I say they, it was really one of them, not both of them. One of them started making like negative videos about me and stuff. And then basically I told them, like, I don't really want to have association with you guys because of what's going on. And they said, oh, well, you can have the website if you pay us for it. I was like, wait, what? Like, this is a fan site you created for me. I have thousands of my viewers who use it. And now you want me to buy the site from you that you offered to create for free yeah, you have to buy it from us now. So I did. Like, I paid them for it just to get it. You know, it was pretty messed up. But anyway, this is what I mean. Like, this is all old shit. And I don't even remember, like, the details of any of it. Like, right now, if you were to ask me, how much did you pay for that PC? I have no fucking clue. I think the narrative that we were using back then, it was like $2,000 to $3,000. But I have no evidence of that, nor do I have any real recollection of it. It's not like in 2024, I have receipts of something I bought in 2011 that I can reference. You know what I'm saying? But this is what I mean. So, for example, if Joon the King is making a documentary about me, and he's literally doing the most in-depth documentary about me ever in history, you know what he's going to do is he's going to cover all the controversies that I've ever come up against. And shit like this, like the old FGC stuff. This thing with these old moderators / computer makers, these things will come up. And it's like, so can you defend yourself? No. How could I? There's no evidence of anything. This is ancient history, right? Perhaps in 2011, when I was buying this PC, if I thought that 13 years later, someone on the internet who makes documentaries was going to strum it up and say, where's the evidence of what you're saying? Maybe I would have some. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Do you think I care in 2024 about a PC I bought 13 years ago that I don't use? It's been retired for a decade. You know, of course I don't care. But that's the thing. That's what this documentary is essentially going to go through. It's going to go through like controversy after controversy after controversy. And you're going to have 5,000 people on one side being negative about me on the internet. And the only thing you're going to have is like a small defense of me of what I have to say about it. Nothing documented, you know? And that's the problem with stuff like this is people only remember the negative. They only remember the toxic. What they say, the person who's the most upset screams the loudest and gets remembered. And everyone else who's happy just kind of goes through life having a good time, right? So in reality, from what I'm to understand, this documentary will be mostly negative about me. And I'm totally okay with that. I just want everyone to understand that. I never expected that a documentary that goes in depth about my history is going to be mostly positive at all, because there's a lot of negative stuff and toxic stuff that's been documented about me very fairly on the internet. You know, you want to talk about the FGC days? You want to talk about this stupid controversy from that long ago? You want to talk about, go for it. I don't see how any of that applies to today, but that's fine. You know, if anything, what we could show is that these are dumb controversies of the past where I made big mistakes and I've hopefully learned from them. I don't repeat them, right? You don't hear any controversy today of me, you know, getting embroiled in a battle with someone else on the internet over something stupid like a PC or a fan site, or, you know, I try to stay as far away from any drama as I can. You know, I'm not going out there poking the hornet's nest and talking shit about people and trying to cause problems like I used to in the FGC. Like, these are things that are long in my past, thankfully. All right. But that's the thing. Like, I feel like when you look at a documentary like this, it's going to be focusing on all those controversies as opposed to, you know, what is it that people really enjoy about Phil's content? Well, people don't want to watch that. People want to hear about all the bullshit, right? So that's what I expect. So for what I'm going to understand, Joon the King says that this documentary will be at least 4 hours long. 4 hours long. His longest video he's ever made. All right? For clarification purposes, when I react to something, like I've reacted to a 2-hour Wings of Redemption documentary, and it took me about 5 hours to react to it. Because essentially I add a bunch of my own perspective, my opinions on stuff. It becomes huge, right? Like, it was a whole day to react to the Wings of Redemption documentary when I did it. Well, can you imagine me trying to react to my own documentary where I'm sure I'm going to have even more to say about the topics involved? Right? So here's the thing. Number one, he says it's going to come out probably in the fall. And if that's the case, I hope it comes out early fall, because as you know, that's the biggest gaming time of the year. So I hope when he says fall, he means like early September or something. You know, if this is like October, November, that's not good. It's going to be really hard for me to try to interject reacting to this thing in the midst of the busiest gaming season of the year. So I hope it's not something that takes that long, honestly. I guess we'll have to see. That's number one. Number two, taking a look at the scope of this thing, okay? the way I see it is I want to basically react to the parts that are going to have the most interest for me and the most to add. So I'll give you some perspective. The FGC stuff I think is gold because I was there, right? And I can tell you specifically if he has examples of people shitting on me and saying awful things about me, I can confirm or deny to what extent those are real or what the real story is. And no one else really can. There's no documented evidence of anything. So I'm the only one who has insider knowledge about that stuff, right? And again, I'll tell you right now, I was a piece of garbage from like the late 90s into the mid 2000s in the FGC. I was a real vile person online. I know I was. And I really regret that now. So I'll be able to attest to that and tell you how, you know, toxic I was or whatever, and talk about the full stories of whatever he's found out about that. Okay? On the flip side, if there's something that's just complete bullshit, I'll tell you that too. All right? I'm very interested in his take on my earlier days as a YouTuber when YouTube was just being formative and, you know, really didn't have an established formula for success and stuff. Like what he thinks about the old days of YouTube and the content that I put out and stuff like that. I'm fascinated by that because, again, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I didn't take it seriously. I was just being stupid and irreverent. And I know I made tons of mistakes back then, you know, by not taking it so seriously and not caring about what I said or did. You know, a lot of harmful stuff, a lot of dumb shit happened back then. I'm fascinated to go through that, right? But what I'm not really interested in is any of the bullshit that's happened in like the last 5 years. That's the same tired shit about finances, my bankruptcy, fucking mobile games, how I spend money, how I do this and that, which first of all is no one's fucking business at all. It never was. These are my attempts of my trolls to delve into my personal matters of my life and business that is no one's fucking business whatsoever because they just basically want to hurt me, right? And I've already said my piece on this stuff a million times. You know, I said it in an interview last year. I've said it in my own content. I've said it 100 times. You know what I'm saying? My opinions and or my answers to any of those issues are never going to change. So what's the point? If he has a whole hour of the documentary about the last 5 years where everyone's talking about my financials and shit, right? I'm probably not going to react to that. I don't see the point. I'll literally be sitting there and be saying, that's not true. That's not true. That's not true. But I'm not going to show you evidence of what's true because it's my business and not yours. And it's harmful if I show it to you, right? There's no point in why do you want to see me react to something you know I'm not going to talk about? I'm just be like, nope, not talking about it. Private stuff. Fuck off. Not your business, right? So this is what I mean. Like, I feel like a bunch of this documentary would be fascinating for me to react to and really good stuff. And then a whole chunk of it is basically going to be stuff that I would never even want to waste time on. Okay? So the other thing is, and I have absolutely no idea if he is going to do this or not, I want someone to analyze the actual people who stalk and hate on me on a constant basis to find out about them. That's what I think is even more fascinating because as interesting it'll be to go through my history, right? I think to find the people who have become the biggest stalkers, haters, like what kind of people are they? Why do they do what they do? What is their reasoning? What kind of lives do they lead? Are they normal people or are they really weirdos? Maybe they're normal people who are just completely obsessed. That would be more fascinating to me, but I don't think anyone's done that. You know, and I don't think Joon's doing that either. Just be clear, I don't think so. Maybe he is. I don't know. I'm not there looking at what he's doing, you know. So that would be more, if he ever has something like that, that would be super entertaining, I feel. And I would definitely react to that, but I don't know, right? So I guess we're going to see, because again, no one's going to know until this thing is out. But here's my prediction. It's going to be 90% negative. Seriously, I mean that too. I think like most of it's going to be, here's all the things Phil did wrong in history laid out, and here's the evidence of it. Because this is all that's on the internet is negative shit about it, right? The people who actually liked me and enjoyed my content, they sit here, they watch, they interact, they contribute, and they move on. They're not making giant documentaries about how good Phil is. There's no compilation videos of the best stuff. It's just negative, 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 negative. That's the shit that gets attention on the internet, and that's what's going to be all over the internet, right? Nothing positive, just negative shit. I'm okay going down memory lane and reliving all that shit with you guys and explaining what I was going through or, fessing up to the mistakes I made. I think I did a good job of that with the Frederick Knudsen documentary a couple years ago, So I have no problem doing this with the Joon the King documentary. But again, I don't want to get everyone's hopes up because number one, if this comes out in the middle of the busiest gaming season, I can't just drop everything to just constantly be reacting to this thing. You know, I can't. It has to be maybe a slow burn kind of a deal, where I go through it slowly, you know, and we'll see. Or if it does come out at a time when there's no games, then I go into it more heavily. I'm okay with that too. You know what I mean? But we have to see what happens with it because I'm not clear exactly how it's going to go until we eventually just, you know, it's out, right? If it's 4 hours, like I said, dude, if it's 4 hours long for real, no exaggeration, that could be 10 to 12 hours of content that I'm going to be making out of it. But again, if a big chunk of this is about, you know, the recent couple of years or five, I would say it was like a 5-year period, right? Where basically I was going through financial troubles around 2018, 2019, went through the bankruptcy. People completely got themselves involved in that, which is fucked up because they never should have. It was completely against the law till they did. And then ever since then, people have been on my ass about every single dollar I make and spend and all that bullshit, right? So that I'm really not interested in. What I'm interested in is his takes on my content, my history, all that stuff. And I would also like to hear a final thoughts. Like, overall, he probably thinks I'm an asshole. All right? I wouldn't be surprised if that's not his final take. Wow, Phil's been an amazing asshole. But I'd at least like to see if he has some opinion on if I've improved and if I've become a better person and a better creator, despite the fact that look at the sacrifices I've made to do that. You know, I could have become a toxic, drama-centric ass like everyone seems to want to pull me into, right? They constantly be on the Lolcow podcast and be a toxic person to this guy and insult this one and do that. And I don't do that. I just sit here and I just make content for my audience and I just chill. And because of that, I'm a small-time guy. I could have gone the opposite way to try to blow shit up and get attention for myself, and I haven't. And that's a definite designed choice that I want to stay in my lane and not be toxic to people on the internet, you know? So I'm curious overall, if you were to look at my whole history from start to finish, right? Like, what you think? He's probably going to say I'm a piece of garbage. I wouldn't be shocked. I would not be shocked if, like, his overall opinion is that he thinks I'm a jerk. Or I'm an asshole, or, you know, I don't, you know, it is what it is, I guess. You know, that's life. At least I'm happy to know that people who spend time with me on a daily basis do enjoy my company and like my content, you know. But yeah, overall, does it suck to know that someone who looks at your history thinks at the end of the day that you're a very negative asshole? Yeah, it sucks. That's why I'm trying to change. That's why I want to be a better person. I hope people feel I am. I feel like if I wasn't, I wouldn't be happily married. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like if I was still the same toxic jerk that no one would ever want to be with me, and, you know, you guys wouldn't want to hang out with me anymore. It would just be everyone making fun of me constantly, and there'd be no positivity in my content. So I hope for the best, but you never know, right? Now, anyway, in regards to this, like I said, we will have to talk more about it as it approaches, and once we get like set dates and when it's going to come out and stuff, and figure out how exactly it's going to be covered, to what extent I'm going to cover it, etc. All right. But I've already laid the groundwork here. Yes, I'm interested in reacting to it for sure, but mostly the parts that interest me or I feel like I can add something to. I can't add stuff to stuff I'm not going to talk about because it's harmful, right? I can't talk about my personal fucking business finances and shit and stuff that legally I'm tied. I can't even say, you know, that stuff is always it's going to be off the table. So, you know, a big chunk of the documentary likely will be off the table. So maybe out of this 4-hour documentary, I can only react to 2 or 3 hours. I don't know. But we'll see. All right, we'll see, and we'll go from there. And by the way, I just want to say, to Joon the King, he's been very respectful the whole time. Like, he's reached out to me for clarification purposes on certain issues and for more elaboration and to get my takes. And I know he's going to probably have my takes on stuff in the documentary that he asked me. And that's fine. You know what I'm saying? Like, even if he disagrees with me, I would bet some of the things that I remember are wrong. Like, for example, that whole stupid PC thing. I really don't remember the actual situation. I think I remember the generalities of the situation, but I don't remember the specifics. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if, like, he'll go back and he'll look at a video where I say, oh, the PC was $3,000. And he'll be like, yeah, but I looked and it actually was $1,000. He'll show the receipts or whatever. It's like, I don't have receipts. You know, I don't care either. Like, it's such an old issue and no one gives a shit about it, right? So I feel like that's going to be some of the stuff that's going to be in there. It's like, well, whatever, you got me, right? That's why I don't get involved with this kind of shit anymore. I just don't. I don't want to cause drama on the internet over nonsensical stuff that doesn't matter, you know? But we'll see. All right, so anyway, that's what's going on. And obviously, more on that as we get closer to its release, which seems like it's quite a ways away. I guess we'll get more information on it soon, right? Cool.
I got the drip going. 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 I got the drip going.
It's like a faucet that's dripping. You can't make it stop. So what do you want me to do? Have a mute button that every second I'm tapping the mute button just in case I'm gonna have to clear? Like, this is what I mean. These dumb kids. This is what it is. It's dumb kids.